going to die, God is not going to ask you which husband have you married or which guy have you dated. It's going to ask you, what have you done with the life that I gave you? Hello beautiful ladies, it's Greta Bereisaite here, dating and relationship coach, and today I have a wonderful surprise for you ladies. But before I introduce my very special guest, let me share how I have heard about him. So I had a client a few years ago who asked me, can I recommend any other relationship coaches where my advice would align with theirs? And I said, no, I actually don't know any. And then she got back to me a couple months later and said, Greta, you have to check out R.C.Blakes. He is a pastor who used to be a bad boy and now is coaching women how to be queens and not to be manipulated by men. She said, your advice matched like butter on toast. So I went and checked R.C.Blakes out. So today, ladies, I have with me author, pastor, and a husband of a wonderful queen, Lisa Blakes, R.C. Blakes. So R.C.Blakes, thank you so much for coming to my YouTube channel. I have read your incredible book, Queenology. And the message in the book really aligns with what I coach as you're coaching how to be a queen in life and personal relationships. And yeah, I just really, really love your book. So I have a couple of questions towards it. What would you say would be a woman who is a queen in a man's eyes? And the other question would be, after you answer this one, what if the king doesn't cross a queen's path? What does she do then?
Awesome. Well, first of all, thank you for reading my book. Thank you for buying it. Thank you for having me on your platform. It is really a blessing to me because, you know, to be in a world where men are considered predators in most cases, and to be trusted by women who are conscious, I take that I take that to heart.
Yeah.
I take it very seriously, and it's very special to me. Now, what would a man, or what kind of a woman would a man view as a queen? I think that's a very good question, but I think we have to start with the quality of the man that is that we're talking about. In other words, there's a man that is simply a grown boy, and that man would not have any real perspective of what a real queen is because he's looking for someone that he can take advantage of. He's looking for someone that he can manipulate. But then you have a man that is a full-grown man. In other words, he's conscious of who he is. He recognizes the power of a conscious and a strong and an independent woman. And that man is looking for a woman who knows who she is. He's looking for a woman who has not only identified, but she actually owns her power. He's looking for a woman who is actualized. In other words, she's not just a woman with potential, but she's a woman that is actually manifesting that potential. Because any real king, any man who is really in pursuit of something greater than himself,
Yeah.
any man that is really building a kingdom, recognizes this one major fact: he cannot do it effectively without the right queen. So kings are looking for queens, and when a king is looking for a queen, in essence, he's looking for a woman that possesses everything he has. He's looking for himself in a dress, I like to call it. He's looking for the female version of himself. And so we live in a society and in a day where women are trained and taught through religion, through academia, through media, through entertainment, to dumb themselves down, to miniaturize themselves. And that's the worst thing a woman can do, because the only way a true king can recognize a queen is that she has to be actualized. She has to be informed. And so a king is looking for himself, the same kind of drive, the same kind of spirit. He's looking for that in a woman.
But what these women should do, because I remember as a little girl I was conditioned, for example, through watching, let's say, my favorite Disney movie, for example, as a child was A Little Mermaid, which is a very, as I call, low-value movie. As what she did, she only met a prince one time, and when she left the kingdom, she disobeyed her father. She gave away her voice, and I remember actually being obsessed with that movie. So I think this is how a lot of us have been conditioned. So what would you recommend for girls who believe in the other way around?
What you're asking me is, what would I recommend to a woman that wants to shift from that conditioning?
But what if a woman is not open to shift?
Well, if a woman is not really open to shift, I don't think there's much that anybody can do for her. She has to, a woman has to come to a point in a time and a place where she realizes that she's been limited to a box, and that she's greater than her present reality. The sad thing is that most women suffer from what I call broken consciousness. They are not aware of who they really are. They're not aware of the power they really possess. And so for this woman, you cannot really do much for her, but hopefully expose her to what an actualized woman looks like, what a queen looks like. And hopefully it awakens something in her. But I think with all of us, until we come to a place where we are conscious of the fact that we've been limited and we've been, paralyzed to a certain extent, I don't think it's until we're willing to embrace a process that anything can really happen for us.
Yeah, I agree with you.
You cannot.
You cannot push somebody to change if they don't want to, or if they are too closed-minded for it. If the king doesn't come across your path,
well, it's interesting that you would ask that question, because that's probably, oh my God, the question I get the most emails of, and it's the DMs about what if a king never shows up? What if he never shows up? And I'm like, well, I think with life we all have to prioritize, and I think that before we get to the relationship piece in terms of our lives, I think that there are some other fundamental and mandatory components that have to be in place. If I never met my wife, Lisa, there would still be a purpose for me to find and to fulfill. If I never met Lisa, there would still be a refinement of myself that would be necessary. In other words, I would still need to perfect myself and to grow. If I never ever met Lisa, I would still need to build my kingdom, so to speak, financially. I would still need to take care of my health. I would still need to do all of these things. And so there's a whole lot of living that has to happen as an individual before one is actually coupled with another anyway. And so I think what happens with a lot of ladies and even gentlemen is that we get so carried away with the idea of the king showing up that we do not put our full attention or our time into developing the queen that is within. It's kind of like a pair of shoes is the illustration I always use. Every pair of shoes typically they are the same size, they are the same kind, and they are left and right. Distinctly a left shoe, distinctly a right shoe. But before you can make them a pair, the left shoe has to have gone through the complete process of being formed and created as a left shoe. Its process has to be complete. The right shoe the same. And when both of the shoes individually are complete, then you can bring them together and put them in a box and sell them as a pair. If you put a whole right shoe and a half a left shoe in a box and try to sell it, you can't sell it because it's not a pair. It's not a pair until the individual shoes have been completed. So my message is to every woman that, is perfecting her queen consciousness and is yet waiting on the king, is keep perfecting you. Keep working on you. Don't live your life constantly looking over your shoulder around every corner, waiting for Prince Charming or the king to show up. Live your life perfecting yourself as a queen. I think it was even in England, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Queen Elizabeth. It was Queen Elizabeth. I think it was Queen Elizabeth who never had a husband, but yet she ruled the greatest. Yeah, she ruled the greatest country in the world. Now, history has it that she wanted a man. History has it that she wanted a man. But the reality was that she did not allow her desire for a man to prevent her from maximizing herself as a queen, and it did not prevent her from maximizing her kingdom. Every woman, while she's waiting on the king, must maximize her kingdom. And that's very, very real. That's very, very real.
In Lithuania as well, the president is a woman, and she's never been married, but the president of Lithuania is a woman.
There you have it.
Yeah.
There you have it.
Yeah.
And I think these are great lessons, for every woman. Just really devote yourself and commit yourself to being your best version, and keep waking up every day perfecting that, and allow the things like a relationship, allow that to happen in its own time, but master what you can control.
Also, I use this saying quite a lot, and I think it's from a pastor as well. I'm not sure, maybe it's actually your saying, to be honest. But it goes like this: when you're going to die, God is not going to ask you which husband have you married or which guy have you dated. It's going to ask you, what have you done with the life that I gave you? So it's just, I just love it. I think it just puts everything into a perspective. If only women followed it and wouldn't, be going the other way around.
Absolutely. That's a good saying. It's not mine, but it's a great saying.
I was just like, am I using your one? Okay, so thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing, agreeing to be on my channel. I really appreciate you spreading the message, and I love the books. And I'll actually put the Queenology and all the links how you can, ladies, reach out to R.C.Blakes and check out his YouTube channel in my YouTube video description down below. So if you like to follow R.C.Blakes and buy his books, just follow the links in my YouTube video description. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
I'm very grateful.
Thank you.
Have a beautiful day.
And you do the same. Hope to talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.